Welcome to the Business of Ours podcast. I think by now you've noticed that the last few episodes weren't regular ones. And those, we featured our discussion panels from App Promotion Summit Berlin 2024. Why? Well, the physical space in the venue in Berlin was obviously limited. And it's not like you can fly to Berlin to visit the summit on a whim. Time and money aren't always there when you need them, right? But we don't want you to miss the opportunity to listen to these discussions and learn from it. So here comes the next panel, Beyond Downloads, App Engagement Strategies. It was hosted by Kazaya Hasselby, Product Marketing Specialist at Adobe. It was a pleasure to have on the panel people from Blinkist, Parship Meet Group, Freeletics, and Share the Meal. Without any further ado, let's go.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming. I'm really excited to be your host today for this next panel. I'm Kezia Hussaby. I am a product marketing specialist at Adobe, and I focus on our customer journey management applications. And yeah, I'm really excited to be joined by a wonderful host of experts today, who I'm going to pass over to introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody, and welcome here after a beautiful lunch. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm Yelena, and I go by JJ, so if you hear people calling me JJ, that is meant to be. And I lead the CRM and product marketing department at Blinkist. I come with over a decade of experience from different verticals, from book summaries to meal kits to travel. So I do have a lot of experience on different business models, but maybe for the conversation, a little bit of context, everything that I share, the majority of what I share and believe in right now comes from subscription businesses.
Great. So you come here today with so much experience. Can you just share whether there was a pivotal moment in your career so far that's defined your approach to marketing?
Yeah, of course. Great question. I think two pivotal moments in my career. One was working at HelloFresh, because it is a super growth, super fast-paced environment, which really made me comfortable to make fast decisions on the go and constantly iterate, constantly move, and constantly change. And retention there was a weekly transaction of the user, right? And then Blinkist was another pivotal moment where the business model is entirely different. We sell mostly yearly subscriptions, where retention became all of a sudden very different and a bit more of a slow burner. So how I approached retention and how I started to look and deal with retention became also very, very different. That would be the same.
Perfect. Ruma?
Yeah, hello, everyone. It's nice to be here. A few words about myself. So I'm a head of CRM at Parship Meet Group, and I'm responsible for different social dating apps. Maybe the best and well-known in Germany, it's Lovoo. So this is the main focus currently for us. I have, very similar experience. So over 10 years of experience in CRM, in different ventures from Rocket Internet, e-commerce companies, services, and so on. So I'm very glad to be here and share my experience about some of them.
Amazing. So I'm sure a lot of people here have experience on dating apps. How do you specifically use CRM to help your users feel more confident in starting those initial conversations in dating apps?
Yeah, I must say it's very challenging, because often when new users are coming to the dating app and they download the app, they feel that they are the only one who need it. They are the only one who are looking for love, for friends, or whatever. So our goal as the only channel who is in contact with users after registration, is to make sure that everyone in the app has the same goal. So everyone wants to find a friend, love, whatever the reason is. So we make sure that users don't feel left alone, and we do it in different ways. So the most important for us is the onboarding chain. So this is where we start educating users and showing users different ways to, for example, start a conversation, to engage with other users, to feel a part of the community. And the other way, which is also very challenging, is to educate users through different channels that we use in CRM about starting a conversation. So telling them that making the first step, it's nothing wrong. Because we see that especially female users, when they see interest in a man or woman, it doesn't matter like which gender, they feel like it's kind of awkward to be the first one. But nowadays, I think it's like the main important thing is if someone catch your interest, you just make the first step and no one will judge you. So big part of our CRM way to our goal of CRM, it's to make sure that no matter which gender you are and whatever your goal is to use the dating app, it's okay to talk to people and to start a conversation.
Wonderful. Robert, introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Robert. I'm Senior CRM Manager at Freeletics. Freeletics is Europe's #1 fitness app for body weight training, high intense training. I'm working there for almost a year right now. I started my career working in sales for 6-7 years, and then I entered the mobile CRM industry world in 2019. And yeah, since then I worked in different industries, gaming, health, also dating apps. A lot of people work in dating apps. And yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Great. So you say you've kind of had experience in both offline and online CRM world. Like, what would you say is the difference when it comes to CRM strategies that you've experienced?
I think back in the days working in sales, it was a little bit different because you had the acquisition, the relationship, and also the like win-back and churn prevention management on your own in offline sales. But nowadays also everything changed. So sales team have acquisition teams, CSMs, win-back teams. So things coming more together. And I think CRM is the same meaning behind, but you have way less data in offline sales management. And for apps, we have the advantage that we have data for every kind of user cohort, for everything that they do. That's a big advantage compared to the offline world where a lot of salespeople don't have that.
Yeah, that makes sense. John?
Hi, I'm John. I'm from Mallorca and I work for Share the Meal. I'm the CRM manager of Share the Meal. We are a fundraising app, part of the United Nations World Food Program. So we are on the mission to end hunger. So if you want to feel good, if you want to feel useful, download the app, make a donation, and you will start to see all the journeys and will see the impact you are having through our communications. I've been working in mobile CRM since 2016 in different industries like travel, gaming, and astrology.
Astrology. I personally love the astrology apps. I don't know if you could give us a bit more information on that and how you found it.
Yeah. Actually, it was not just astrology. It's a marketplace. Like you as a user can connect with a spiritual advisor. That could be a tarot reading or astrology or other kind of means, depending on the countries. So it was not pure astrology. But the interesting thing there is that one of the key data we have is your date of birth. And when you have the date of birth from a person and this person believes in everything that can happen with your date, you can create a lot of segments like your 12 horoscopes and you can personalize everything based on these beliefs, because someone that is a Sagittario and believe in this, they believe that red is his color, so you can personalize all the emails and do it red. No? And so it was quite interesting this time there, but it was quite long time ago.
Yeah. Okay, so that's our wonderful kind of experts for the day. I'm glad that they've managed to introduce themselves to you all. A bit of housekeeping is that behind me on the screen at some point during the session, there will be a Slido QR code, so feel free to add your questions there and we'll make sure that we can try and answer them towards the end of the session. So yeah, I think we can get into it now. As we're kind of ending the year, I thought it was a good place to start today by reflecting on kind of what changes we've seen occur to the mobile app industry. And Robert, I'd love you to kind of kick us off with this. And what are the biggest changes that you've seen in the mobile app industry when it comes to app engagement and retention over the last 12 months?
I would say what changed is how much attention we all have for communication on our phones. So maybe this is a thing that goes for 2-3 years, but everything needs to go very fast and very on point. So my brain is not able to read huge text, listen 2 minutes. It has to be on point, very short. And I think that's something that in social media, we know that this is changing every 2 weeks. The trends are so fast. Each month there's something else, another dance, another music, another something. But in CRM industry, I feel that the structure that we have is still a little bit less flexible to adapt to that changes. Okay. So coming back to that offline CRM thing, you see like automated sales emails from people that just reaching out, even if you never reply them. You see CRM communication that it's sometimes not exactly what you want to read or what you want to see. And I think just being able to adapt faster on how our attention changes in the world we live, I think that's a thing I realized in the last 2 years. That was a pretty big change.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that as well. Roma, I think as we look to 2025, which is pretty imminent, what are you expecting to see in terms of behavioral or consumer expectations when it comes to mobile apps? Can you foresee anything? Are you expecting anything?
Yeah, I fully agree with Robert. So I think for the upcoming year, we should really focus on catching the user attention very fast and also adjust all the channels, because we are checking the numbers and we are measuring how long our users are focused in the app. And I think our goal for next year is to make the communication shorten and also make sure that all of the most important information are highlighted. This is one of the tests that we did for different age groups, and we also made a differentiation for genders, and the conclusion was just one. What we also see, and I think the focus is really growing in users, is that they are well aware about the data protection. So I think personalization, yeah, it's nothing new because we all know how important it is. But in 2025, we would need to focus way more on using the information that we have about users and don't make it kind of creepy for them. So we know a lot, but we don't need to show them how much we know about them.
Yeah, that's definitely important going into next year. So kind of every year we see different kind of trends or expectations or changes when it comes to our users. And trying to keep up with them has been really difficult, especially for kind of mobile and growth teams and our CRM teams and how you structure them. JJ, I'd love to hear your understanding of kind of lessons learned when it comes to building these teams, structuring them to be most efficient and keeping up with the new expectations.
Yeah, happy to share that. I think there are different ways of structuring the team, right? And you really need to think about what you need for your business, where your business is, what you need from the CRM team at the moment. And I've worked in a couple different setups, and the one that worked very well for me and that works very well for our team at the moment is really structuring the team based on the ownership of the domains that they're looking after. So we have 4 pillars there, which one is growth, that is responsible for converting our users from freemium to premium. Then another one is retention and engagement. And then we have automation that enables us to really understand our customers and really automate the messages that go out. And so we can also achieve scale and speed. And then our tech stack maximization in a way where we ensure that we really lean into the tech that is available to us, that we can deliver on what we need to deliver essentially. But I think I've heard this question many, many times, right? Where should CRM sit? Is it product? Is it marketing? And in my opinion, it should sit on itself. And kind of, we need to enable the CRM team to deliver on the objectives that are important to the business. And the reason why this setup works very well for us, because it enables each one of the CRM team member to speak to the relevant stakeholders, be it product, be it engineering, be it mobile teams, and really deliver on the things that they're working on.
Nice. So you're the central point to all these different teams. John, does that differ for you at Share the Meal, or is it pretty similar?
I think, Gigi, we need to talk later because right now, in the moment that I am the full stack CRM person, doing everything, and I'm trying to convince my company to hire more people and to start to build a proper team of CRM. And I have some ideas, but I would like to know more your knowledge. So that was a bit the idea, no? 4 pillars also, like one, it's about campaigning, because in fundraising, campaigns are really important. Like normal products, you have Black Fridays and things like that. In our case, we have Ramadan, we have Giving Tuesday, we have end of the year, Christmas things, or the day of charity, the day of food, the day of whatever. So campaigning is a big topic, and I have already a person of content doing part-time, helping me this part. Then for me, the core part, I think you call it automation. I like to call it the lifecycle manager. So for me, this is the core part of CRM, to be a lifecycle manager. And it's where my previous experience was in my previous job. And then I'm thinking to hire 2 persons that are a CRM tech person that do all the APIs connected and talk with the developers. I don't want to spend so much time talking with the developers or product, and a data person that can kind of build our reportings, work with machine learning so we can adapt. So this was a bit my 4 kind of pillars I'm thinking. I want to start with a tech CRM person because it's where I'm losing more of my time. And right now I have some help. We have like a BI hub that they support me, but they are not owning it. And when someone is working for you and helping you and they don't own it and it's not in their KPIs, it's really difficult to move things. So I'm thinking in this, but maybe I changed my mind after talking with some folks.
So it's quite, at the moment as a consumer, it's safe to say that we are very overwhelmed with the amount of messages that we're receiving, whether it's in our mobile apps or emails or text messages from brands. Especially this last week, I felt this with Black Friday, which now apparently is a week and not just a day. At Adobe, we ran a survey with Concentrix earlier this year, and I think the stat came back that on average we receive 139 messages per week. And mostly they are relevant, they're kind of have zero context, and they're very repetitive. So, Rome, I'm interested to hear kind of how do you cut through the noise when you are messaging or communicating with your users?
So we use for communication with our users push communication, in-app and email, and this is a combination. Since we are an app, of course, all of the communication that is happening in the app is bringing the biggest goal for us. So when we send a push notification, our goal is to bring users to the app, and then we connect it to the in-app communication. In-app communication for us, it's the main channel to convert users because it's the sweet spot between putting some content that you can use also newsletter for. But as Robert mentioned, like right now, users, they have so many different touch points. They are really focused on getting the information straight after, that they don't want to scroll for 5 seconds to read the entire communication that you created to find the goal information that you wanted to share with them. So we use in-app communication for selling our offers, but we also use it to, as I already mentioned, to educate users about how to use the app, how to start the conversation. And then for us, emails, so newsletter, it's the smallest part because we see that, it's the engagement from newsletter and from users is the smallest. So we also don't want to put a lot of effort into this channel. And we use it for like announcing upcoming events, for educating users, highlighting new features. But talking about Black Friday, so funny thing that I've heard shortly before, there was a study and someone asked when it's the best moment to start Black Friday promotion, and the answer was yesterday. And it's kind of weird, but it also makes a lot of sense that everyone is starting the Black Friday communication as soon as they are ready. And then all of the users are getting thousands of messages. And at some point when the Black Friday comes, everyone is so tired and out of money that the Black Friday stopped being the biggest day.
Yeah, I've definitely felt tired this week. Robert, what kind of, Roma's covered a few of the different communication methods that she uses. What have you found at Freeletics has been the most effective form of communication when you're speaking to your users?
I think there are different channels for different kind of users. So we have a very strong email channel that works pretty well with good open rates, but we also have put a massive effort in creating a lot of content every week and having a lot of valuable things that we have to say and share. But yeah, for some users, like when I see my own, a lot of apps, I unsubscribe from all the channels because I think I decide when I use them. And there are apps where I just enjoy that the push notifications are valuable, so I keep them. Sometimes an in-app can be super valuable, but all channels in a mix. I think what Roma mentioned is very important, that you can try to combine channels to support each other instead of having a story or a strategy per channel. That's maybe something that answers that in general.
Yeah, definitely. So when you're thinking of these different channels, and there is so many that you can combine together or go with a singular strategy with, you also have to think about where the user, like how these play in the different user journeys. And when you're kind of mapping these out and considering these, I think it's important to consider exactly what the user needs at each point, whether it's onboarding, upgrading, subscription, or re-engagement. John, with your back there, what do you think are the key user journeys that every app needs to get right?
I would always start with activation. It's where you are moving small things in activation. You will bring more users to become engaged. You're opening the door to them. So I will focus on that first, and then engagement and churn prevention, resurrection. It will be machine learning in the future. So we don't need to, because in activation you don't have enough data to really put a machine working for you. But when you are already engaged, and the machine can predict when this user is about to end. So this will be really easy to set up in the near future. And activation is key.
Yeah. You have to get them in first and then focus on
my
keeping them.
personal experience is I was doing the whole journey from the beginning. A bit here, a bit here, a bit here, a bit here. And then I focus in one specific part.
What's your approach, JJ?
I actually have a bit of a controversial view here, because I think in CRM we believe that we orchestrate the journeys for the users, right? But I don't think it's the way forward. I think the way forward is to let the users orchestrate the journeys for them and then be there with the next best action for the users. Because I think I agree with you, John. Maybe the onboarding is the first one that you can orchestrate, or you have some control of where you want to direct your users as the actions for them to take to create a stickier experience. But then in a way, we need to create these experiences in constant engagement loops, especially for us, for a yearly subscription. Being there when the user takes that step, reads the book in our case, giving them the next best book or the next best guide or other things that are important to that user at that moment in time becomes really, really important. But I think for us as well, something that we leaned into this year was actually taking it from the back, right? Because this is where the renewal, where your engagement becomes really meaningful, is when you can impact the renewal afterwards. And there is moving the needle on engagement is very hard, because I'm sure a lot of us struggled with communicating all the successes on open rates, click rates, book starts in our case, and then it's all kind of marketing fluff in a way, and the business goes in the other direction, which is conversion. So bringing that number to the engagement of the user. And I think for us, it's the end of the subscription, and being able to quantify this all of a sudden puts a much heavier spin on the ball that you're trying to roll. And that's something that we've done this year, and it has changed the engagement conversations we're having at Blinkist right now.
That's really interesting to hear your differing perspectives. I'm sure at every kind of different app here, people will have a different approach, but it's really great to hear from you both on that. When it comes to unlocking long-term app engagement, one of the key kind of fundamental aspects of it is personalization. And this isn't a new thing, like we all know how to personalize customer journeys. But I still think there's an opportunity for us to be kind of personalizing the push notifications and in-app messages a bit more. Roma, how have you done this at your company? Have you been personalizing these messages? Like, what's your approach to this within your strategy?
Yeah, for every campaign, every communication that we direct to our users, we always A/B test, ABC. D test depends how big is the audience. And of course, like a very important part, it's personalization. I think it's nothing new and no one is surprised. But for our industry, where the topic is so sensitive and so emotional, and as I mentioned, when people start using dating app, they don't want to feel that they are, I don't know, losers or they are the only one. So being very personal in a communication and sending them exactly what they need is a key for us, especially at the very beginning. I would say, of course, through the entire journey. So whatever we send to our users, we try to put them into bigger segments that, for example, show the same interests. So if we communicate about a local music event, we look for users who gave us information about it, that they want to meet with other users outside of the app, so they like offline events. When we communicate about different gender orientation, it's quite challenging because it's also very personal, and we are just few people in the team, and we are unable to personalize it the way that every person will find exactly the person that they look for. But again, through the personalization and segmentation, we put users in groups to deliver to them the best approaches, to best offers, the best matches. And our goal for 2025, going back to the question, is to use AI even more and being able to hyper-personalize our communication. Let's see how it's going to go, because we are testing this and some things are very surprising. But yeah, for us, personalization, it's a key.
Yeah, I think the more you personalize, the more you can build your users' trust, and then obviously they'll just keep coming back and trust you as their dating app. Yeah. Robert, I'm just saying. The saying goes that feedback is a gift, especially when it comes to your users. Robert, what does user feedback play in shaping your engagement strategy at Freeletics?
I think for Freeletics, for the product, the user feedback is what makes the product what it is. So if you train with Freeletics and after each workout or each session, it asks you, hey, was it too heavy? Was it too easy? How do you like your workout? So the whole product adjusts by how strong you are, how done you are after the workout, or just about your feedback. But I think feedback in general, so we have a great user research team that is talking to users a lot and also trying to put everything that the user, for example, writes in our community feed or gives feedback to our CE team is super important. And I have a cool example of our all heroes, I think, is Duolingo. Everyone says like, this is the top notch. But I read a very funny example yesterday on LinkedIn. There was a girl saying, I started Duolingo because I wanted to order a coffee in Italy on my vacation. And then she did a breakdown of a product analysis. So it was very detailed. And I just asked her, how long does it take her to learn to order a coffee in Italian? And she said she's at streak 700 and she still has not learned that. I think that's a very good example of that you have to ask for feedback, like why you are here, what do you expect from that app, what is your goal, if you're paying or not, doesn't matter, and how can the app somehow helps you to achieve that? Because if not, you're using it, but your main need why you started it is never being solved. And then even our top-notch #1 app completely failed in that case because it was not listening to the user what the user really wants.
Need that feedback. John, I don't know if you've got anything else to that.
Yeah, we had a very small team, like 35. So if there is any problem of support is saying nice things or the customers are contacting us, we have directly access to that, and we have our monthly, I think, customer insights meetings where I share results of surveys that we have in app messages. The UX designer shares some calls that she had. I also had some calls with high-value donors to learn more from them. So we are continuously learning from them, from our donors, to build our product, our communications.
Yeah, definitely. Earlier we had a conversation about AI and how it's been a hot topic this year, last year, probably next year still, and the year after that. I'm interested to hear how experimentation, sorry, this is to you, John, experimentation with AI or machine learning is influencing your engagement strategies with your users.
So I've been using these out-of-the-box tools of best time to send pushes and best channel that the tool decide. But this year we started to have some journeys that I created for the BI hub to analyze. And now they get all the data and they created some kind of attribute that we are sending to our tool. And I launched it last week. So I started to look a bit and it looks good, but the idea is end of Q1 to analyze. It's a 50-50 split, like machines against my manual think about when is the best time. So I hope the machine wins, and so we can do a case to scale it more and have more resources. But it's basically high-value actions like ask a user to share, create a challenge, to convert to subscription, because in our app you can donate donations, but you can also subscribe to be a regular giver. So, and also to upgrade. If you are donating $100 a month, we ask you if you could upgrade to 120. So this kind of high-value actions we are testing in machine learning right now.
Nice. Yeah, I think the scaling point was really interesting. With AI, I think there's a huge opportunity to be able to scale, whether it's personalization or how you want to message within your apps.
I'm not so interested in generative AI to create content, maybe for coding and so on, yes, but not for... I use more the machine learning part of the AI.
Does anyone else have any interesting thoughts on AI in terms of your strategies?
Strategies is one thing. I think another thing is how responsible we are with it, right? Because at the end of the day, it comes to data and the data that we are collecting on the users. I don't know how many of you here in the room are CRM, but for the ones who are, I really encourage us to understand that we are custodians of that data in a way. We are holding that data of our users. So I think that's a subject that needs to be approached when you're developing AI strategies of not only what you are communicating to the users and the reliability factor of what you're saying, especially if you're automating this, because the control is then you lose control, right? And then on another hand, what do you do with the data that you collect, where you store it, how you store it, how long do you store it for? I think that all needs to be considered.
Yeah, absolutely. We have 10 minutes left. I'm going to have a final question to all of you before we go to the attendee or audience questions even. We all have thousands of apps at our fingertips. I know that I will daily kind of download a new app if I think it might be helpful to my life. But based on data from criteria, 49% of visitors abandon mobile apps after just one day. So obviously coming back to the title of this session and kind of how do you kind of retain your users and create long-term app usage, how are you balancing acquiring new users with retaining existing ones? I don't know, Roma, if you want to start with this.
Yeah, so another point that is very challenging for us, because it's, especially for us, like if you in a very short time don't find this what you look for, then you lose interest. And it's so many dating apps right now that they provide completely different features, like, I don't know, connecting from the day zero and going to the date offline, and they even arrange the real location for you, or like offering you a video call with a person where you saw that you have common things. So current challenge for us is to put a lot of effort into acquired users, because it's nothing new. It's way cheaper to keep acquired users engaged and still try to get new users on board. We put a lot of effort into reactivation. And for us, it might be quite funny, because we start the reactivation. We call users already inactive after 3 days, when they are still kind of fresh, but at some point they stopped opening the app, using the app, interacting with our communication. And we do it, through different ways. So we send them discounts. We offer them best matches that they might catch their attention. We try to communicate with them with different approaches, different way of direction that they might like. And also we ask them about the feedback. It's something that Robert said. It's very important for us to improve.
Great. Robert, what are your main challenges at the moment in retaining your users?
I mean, compare it with you're watching a movie and you stop at 1 hour 10, and 2 weeks later you think, oh, should I finish that movie? No, because I completely forgot what's happening there. And now I add a little bit difficulty on top. You train for 3 months. You went from body weight to 10 kilogram dumbbells. Then you're sick for 2 weeks and you come back. And this 10 kilogram dumbbells feels like you're lifting up a car, right? And being then able to bring the user back and saying, okay, you lost progress. Like, you invested time, that's gone because you weren't here for 3 weeks. And now try to, like, what is the word? Like, come back to your old level where you were. I think that's pretty hard. So we try to make the user do a commitment at the beginning. So saying, hey, this is not easy. And if you really want to do that, you have to commit your time. You have to be ready to, I mean, it's not fun, right? Like, a hard workout is fun when it's over, but during that it's not fun. So you have to do a commitment and say, okay, I want that. I'm completely behind that and I pay now for this. And I think when this is clear, then it's way easier to bring them back. Maybe give them, like, when you watch a Netflix series and you jump to the next series, it gives you a short summary of the last series you watched. Maybe this is something that in our time we should try to do for apps, because as long as the app is still on the user's phone, you are still important. Like, young generations starting deleting apps to keep the screen clear. If you're right now on the phone, even if the usage is nothing for 6 months, you're still important enough to be on their home screen. So we maybe have to rethink our metrics and our engagement metrics in the long term that we maybe were counting in the last years.
That's a really interesting point to end on. So now we've got just under 5 minutes. You can all see the questions here. I don't know if anyone wants to... We'll start with the one at the top, which isn't about you, John. I'm sorry. Can you share an example on how you're moving away from designing customer journeys and instead being present wherever they are?
I feel this question is for me. And I will answer that. We're not... Like, we're there, right? This is a vision that I see in the future, and like a very optimistic vision. But I think one way of doing this is triggered messages, is listening to what your users are doing in the app, and then finding the next best book for us, right? I think Netflix also does it very well, right? That you watch some movies, and then you have a whole library of movies that are suggested for you. I think the challenge here is when the user stops engaging and they are not coming in the app anymore and they're not reading. And for us, it's also a challenge because it's an active it's an active act you need to do, right? It requires active participation, and at some point users also need a break. So one of the examples of how we approach this is by getting the users to set the goal and showing them an in-app and letting them select what is it that they want to do next. Because from the time of the onboarding to the time 6 months down the line, your objective might also change. And then using this to reactivate the user in a way and start suggesting the books that are in that category of that offer and are relevant to that user in that moment in time. Mm-hmm. I hope it answers the question, but if it doesn't, and you're in the room, please.
So the next one, how do you prioritize overlapping journeys? Does anyone want to take that one?
I think I can just give an example that journeys are different from product to product. So for example, at Freeletics, your fitness workout plan is your journey somehow. So it's it's doable to see, okay, where is the user? What is the next communication? I think when you are in a dating app, you don't have a clear, okay, I like 30 people and then I chat with 2 and the next goal is to meet someone, because it's completely based on what is happening during this whole usage. But I think that's a very tough question for apps where you don't have a guided direction, where you just can do whatever you want or whatever you feel today. So I would hand over to John for this.
For next question, or
the next question. That was good. Do the next question.
I think I could recommend 2 things here. Frequency capping is one thing, and another is segmentation. So just be smart who you are talking to. But and prioritization of the messages. So if you feel that there are journeys that are running to the same segment, just define for yourself which one is the more important one, and that will show up before all the other journeys. And frequency capping, depending on how you set it, will help you to stop and not over-communicate.
Absolutely. Okay, quick fire for the last.
I like to have a Miro board where everything is planned, and then you translate it to the automation tool, where you can see and compare. But yeah, these tools and filters and frequency capping can help. Yeah.
Okay, last 30 seconds. Can you each quickly answer what is the best CRM tool out there for you? John?
I only use one in my life, so I cannot answer it.
If you know the answer, please tell me, because I think it's very challenging. And I myself went through few migration from one tool to another that was promising a lot, but you will never find the perfect one. The best for me, like knowing already the process, is to make a list of the most important points that the tool should cover and should help you with. And then go into deep discussion with the tool providers, with the people responsible for selling the tool, really challenge them with questions to get their answers. Because sometimes the promises are huge, but unfortunately they have too many clients, or they are taking very long to respond to your questions, and it doesn't really make sense to invest time into migration. So before you start, just make a comparison, challenge people, and find the best solution for you.
Very diplomatic answer.
I can maybe give an example for people that really looking for tools. So I think Braze and MoEngage are the most competitive ones in the market for large apps.
We should say Adobe,
Adobe, of course. I think if you're a smaller company, maybe only handling email marketing or push notifications, like Omnisend and OneSignal are pretty good.
The point
affordable systems, I would say, that have pretty good usage. But yeah, I think the biggest ones are going with, my opinion, Braze and MoEngage are the ones that are a little bit far away from the rest of the competition.
Perfect, and that ends our session. If you have any more questions, we'll kind of hang around in that area over there. But yeah, thank you for having us, and thank you to my wonderful panelists. That was a great discussion. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that was Beyond Downloads App Engagement Strategies episode. featuring the discussion panel from the App Promotion Summit Berlin 2024. To listen to more episodes, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube podcasts. Just search for Business of Apps and you will find us easily. Remember, we release episodes on Mondays, so subscribe and you will be able to get new episodes on your smartphone, tablet, or computer as soon as we release them. And please don't forget to leave us a review or comment on iTunes. It is highly appreciated. And all episodes will also be available on businessofapps.com. Thank you for listening. See you next week.